Okay, there's a lot to talk about with the new Star Wars movie. And I guess the simplest way to start is let me say, did I like it? I loved this freaking movie. I thought it was freaking amazing. I know there's been a lot of talk. I mean, in general, the critics and audience generally like it. I mean, you can look online. I think about over 90% of audiences and critics like the movie, which is pretty darn impressive considering movies like all the movies I've liked in the past, like Jurassic World and the 2014 Godzilla movie, usually are in a lower spectrum. Most movies usually get in a lower spectrum, like 70%, which to me doesn't really matter. The audience or the critics say, I view a movie for myself without, what are their opinion of the audience and or critics. But still, it was good to see though. And of course, so even amongst my friends and family, there's a lot of people who are kind of split on it. I mean, everybody agrees it's a good movie. It just people disagree about how good it is. There's been a lot of talk about a lot of people saying it's just a remake of A New Hope, which or somebody even goes far as to call it a reboot of A New Hope. And without a doubt, and be honest, yes, there are a lot of similarities, a whole lot, but I think it did this more to emulate the original movie instead of just a carbon copy, because there's still a lot of differences in the movie, especially in the tone and the way it's done. Just kind of Jurassic World have been done. Although to me, this movie is superior. I loved Jurassic World. This movie is superior to Jurassic World in a number of ways. And it has more characterization. Uh, yeah, basically that's the main thing. Really, there's not a whole lot of differences. Although the effects in this movie are arguably a little bit better than some of the questionable CGI in Jurassic World. A movie that I love, but yes, I could see people's you know problem with the CGI. That being said, where to start this movie? The thing I should start with, the acting in this movie was phenomenal. And let me be clear, this is some of the best acting in the Star Wars saga as a whole, because even the original, and hear me, there really is no shame in saying this because I think everybody who's views these films objectively knows that yes, even the original trilogy had some lackluster acting here or there. Well, but they held together because the atmosphere and the setting and a lot of things going for those movies besides just the acting. Even though it's not all bad, of course. A lot of the acting is very great, but sometimes it's a little questionable. And the prequels just had the most stilted dialogue ever, and sometimes the acting was just not even a drop of emotion in it. And although I think episode three they really worked to not have that same problem, although some actors to me gave a great performance all throughout the prequel trilogy, namely people like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor, Senator Palpatine, who ends up becoming Emperor. I believe that Ian McDiarmid, I believe, he was a great actor. He played that character just amazingly well. And there's other smaller characters who also, I believe, are well acted. Of course, there are other things though, like Padme, played by damn, I can't even forget her name. Wow, that's sad. But anyways, you all know the name of the actress who plays Padme. Between the dialogue that was given to her and the delivery, is just a lot of her. Even watching episode three is a total 9 out of 10 for me. You check my IMDb page and all that stuff. I love episode three, but even watching it this day, a lot of Padme's dialogue makes me just cringe because it's so freaking bad. But yeah, the hating criticism to me just half and half. Sometimes he's really good with it, other times at not. But to me, in this movie, everyone gave a freaking amazing performance. That means all the returning cast, all the new characters, which there are a plethora of. All of them did a really amazing job with the acting. I really felt for the characters. They were funny. They showed a lot of emotion, and they weren't just a blank slate. There wasn't just they're just there. These characters actually felt a lot more human than frankly Star Wars has ever felt to me. Because to me, the way I felt, this movie definitely was trying to echo more of the. Well, I'll delve into the how the tone is, but focus on characters. The characters are great. I loved all of them. Let's just move aside before we start questioning who they are and what the roles are going to be in future film. Let's just say this: the acting was phenomenal. Get that out of the way with. Now, here we're going to talk about story structure. Okay, anybody knows anything about Star Wars knows that the first trilogy. I'm not saying it wasn't complex or anything. However, the story, the way it was told in a very simple good versus evil fashion. Sure, there's a lot of things, big things that get revealed, like the whole Vader Luke thing. However, the tone of the story itself is very simple. Bad guys are bad, good guys are good, and there's not too much, conflict with that. I mean, uh, watching episode 4 through 6, you would never even question, how did the Empire get here? Why are the rebels so upset with them? And that whole thing. And this is something that George Lucas, went way, way, way beyond what was asked for in the prequel trilogy, where it was all very politically themed and all these conspiracy theories and all this buildup. And to me, that's one thing, of course, that everyone despised about episode 1. It was just all politics and talking. And then the same thing for episode 2, and then some episode 3, you finally see what the fruit of all of that come together. And watching those movies, I really enjoyed a lot of those scenes, honestly, because it helps build up what's going on. The big detriment to the prequels really was how a lot of the dialogue was delivered, especially dialogue concerning the character of Anakin Skywalker. A lot of it should have just been better written and, of course, better acted. But as far as political things going, showing just how the Empire came to be down to the T, to me, it was phenomenal writing on Lucas's part, although it, of course, could have been a lot less clunky. And things episode one should have been a lot more fun, which is the best I can describe this new Star Wars movie. It's fun, among other things, like emotional, and has some very epic shots. But it first and foremost, what moviegoers love these days is the movie fun. Right with a lot of humor and action spliced together, and it's a very fun movie. It's fun. Episode 1, even episode 2 were not. Although episode 2 tried to fix this, and episode 3 really was really a good movie in my opinion. I thought they got a pretty good balance between emotion, action, and humor. Episode 1, I think the only real humor in that whole movie really came from Jar Jar Binks, who just wasn't funny. It just pissed everybody off. And at the same time, they'll have these very, heavy political undertones, harkening back to like Nazi Germany, and how basically, if you know your history in Star Wars, combining it basically almost the same exact thing. How Nazi Germany came to power, just basically the whole how Palpatine did the same exact thing in a way. And this movie, at least the very first one, is kind of going more towards the original movie's way of doing things, where bad guys are bad, good guys are good. Although this is nowhere near as simple, if you ask me, than the original trilogy. But as far as like motivations for the characters, like the main, of course, villain, Kylo Ren, he's a big one where we don't know a lot about what motivated him to turn to the dark side, and we assume it's going to be answered in episode 8, and we really hope so, because that was one of the biggest problems for me. But I guess I'll delve into that right now. Because I guess a lot of people complain about the new factions. The rebellion has become the resistance, and the empire has become the first order. Although when you think about it, the first order is kind of like they're kind of the rebellion now in a way, while the republic itself, something that we saw a lot of in episodes 1 through 3, we never really see the republic. The only time we see the republic in this new one, Force Awakens, is when it's getting destroyed by the new Death Star. Well, the Star Killer, I believe it's called, which was an amazing moment, by the way. But so it's not really sure what's going on here politically wise. The resistance, I believe, is just a whole separate thing from the Republic government itself, although the Force Order, of course, is accusing the Republic of helping the resistance, which would make sense because the First Order is basically trying to knock over the government that's in power so they could be in control. And of course, through very evil ways, like wiping out whole fucking star systems, which, of course, is a big no-no. Billions dead. That being said, though, so you kind of get the First Order's motivations. I mean, that's pretty simple. I don't really care about the intricacies, like where they get the funding, blah, blah. I could care less. It's just I hate to say I hate the phrase it's just a movie, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. And I don't really care where they got the funding to build the Star Killer plant-sized thing. What bothered me was Kylo Ren, and no, not to say the acting for Kylo Ren was fantastic. The look of the character was great, and they had some very powerful moments with him. I love seeing him on screen. The acting was just fantastic. The problem is there's a hole, not a hole, I'll say a gap in the story that I assume is going to get filled in episode 8, but here it was kind of bothered me, and that's the whole, because the basic story of this, like I already said, spoiler, so I'm done caring at this point. The whole backstory for him that we know of so far is that Han and Leia, I guess, sense too much Vader, quote unquote, in their son, who's named Ben, by the way, his real name, Ben Solo, I guess he would go by, technically speaking. Ben Solo was then sent off to, I guess you'd call it, Jedi boarding school with Luke. But while training under Luke, for some reason, and here goes the hole, he decides to serve the new Emperor-like figure. I believe it was called Overlord Snook. And then so from there, he becomes this full-on aligned with the Sith. Although they say he's not a true Sith Lord yet, which is definitely true. He has a lot to learn. But he forms the Knights of Ren, who then go on a killing spree and wipe out Luke's whole academy. And then from there, he just serves the First Order and is an integral player in them. Well, my question is, what turned him to the dark side? Was it just Snook talking to him? But I guess we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna see in episode 8, hopefully, how this happened, because you could say a lot of bad things about the freaking the prequels. However, they did to me offer a lot of good reasons why Anakin became the dark side, and it was built up ever since episode 2 into 3 that Anakin is just a guy who's known for being rash and making really bad decisions. He doesn't really think things through until it's already over. We saw in episode 2 when he rushed Count Dooku, losing him, getting defeated rather easily. Then, of course, we saw in episode 3, finally culminating with him joining the dark side. And we just basically saw that throughout episode 2 and 3, that he's a risk taker. He does things that shouldn't be done. And everyone was really sensing he was going to be like an on-edge type of Jedi. He, they just knew that he was kind of over the top at times, but it was a war, and he served his purpose. He fought very well, but then, when it came down to choosing between dark and the light, the dark side seemed to offer what he wanted, so he went with that. So you understood his motivations. You really felt he had a tragedy to him. And that's why I liked episode 3 so much. And Kylo Ren is missing that. I get the tragedy in it, but I just want to know what caused the initial transformation. We need to see that. I really wanted to see that here, at least in a flashback scene of why he was trying to serve Snook, other than his freaking uncle, for Christ's sake. I mean, Luke, that betrays parents. I don't want to say it's nonsensical because it's going to get explained, I assume, but right now, just a gaping hole of why he would turn against his whole family. And another question, of course, that was raised, like, okay, the Knights of Ren helped, they helped Kylo Ren, wipe out Luke's academy. Well, where are they? I assume, are they training under Snook as well, or are they off somewhere? We don't know, because we keep hearing this Knights of Ren are associated with Kylo Ren himself, and he leads them.